You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are The Breakfast Club. We have a special guest in the building, comedian Jeff Ross.
He's not just a comedian, he's the roast master general. Have you ever seen Jeff just go in on people in a crowd?
Yes, I did.
No, he literally lines people up.
That's right.
And just runs through
I
them.
was with you when we seen him at Chris Rock.
Speed
Remember
round.
he was
And
at
I
the
went
Chris Rock
too.
show? He calls people up on stage
Yes.
and he just goes at them, about 15 people.
Want to get roasted.
Right.
They jump up and down and volunteer. Volunteers only. I don't bully people. They got to want it.
Do you ever feel sorry for anybody? Or you just like, oh, you asked for it?
No, I never feel sorry for anybody.
Do you ever feel like you went too far?
They're not that mean. I mean,
That's a stupid question that comedians get asked nowadays.
No, it's
Did you
not
go
a
too
stupid
far?
question at all. It's shocking that I never feel bad. Mm-hmm. If people volunteer, then I feel like I have a license to kill, say whatever I want.
Goodness gracious.
plus they probably know what their faults are, kind of.
The only time I think people get thrown off, it's when you bring them up and they think, oh, they're all dressed up. I'm going to make, fun of one thing and I make fun of something else.
Got you. Yeah.
And they're like,
I put
damn
time
it.
into this outfit.
They're like, wait till he sees my push-up bra, my boobs, and then I ignore it and make fun of their teeth. And they're like, whoa.
But thank you for bringing breakfast too,
Yeah,
by the
thank
way.
you for bringing
of
breakfast.
course.
That is so nice. I'm over here. I was starving, and you bought us bagels and cream cheese.
Of course.
Because
Thank
he
you.
was hungry, and instead of just being selfish and eating by himself, he bought all of us.
Right.
I'm the son of a caterer. I love food, love parties. Always want, and there's nothing worse than trying to get laughs when people are hungry.
That's right.
Yeah, because they're thinking about eating instead
Think
of
about
focusing
food.
on your jokes.
Yeah, my stomach starts growling. I can't even hear a joke. So
So why didn't you get into the catering business? How'd you get into comedy?
I did everything I could to get out of the catering business. My great grandmother Rose, she was an early feminist before she even knew what that was.
Really?
In the 1940s and 50s, she had a wedding business, catering business, and that passed on to my uncle and my grandfather, then my dad, and it was a tough business. They worked all weekends, a lot of pressure, throwing parties. I always loved weddings, but I just knew that I wanted to do something else with my life. I wasn't sure what it was, so I went to film school. Mm-hmm. After film school, I still struggled and lived with my grandfather in New Jersey, and I was just kind of a goofy loser living in New Jersey with my grandpa, and was sick, taking care of him, and my buddy Mark said, why don't you take this comedy class? I think you'd be good at it. And I took a stand-up comedy class, and it was a happy accident. I loved it right away.
Did you bomb your first time you went up in front of people?
That's a good question. I killed my first time and then bombed the next 25 times.
Really?
How did that happen?
I don't know. Like, if I had bombed the first time, I'd probably be your engineer right now. But luckily, I hit the right crowd. It was an open mic on 54th Street, right across from the old, there's a place called Ye Old Triple Inn. I followed like a bongo player or something. And it was Fleet Week, and there were some Navy guys in the front, and I lost track of my jokes, and I just started asking them what happens if they get mustard on their white Navy uniforms or some nonsense. They heckle me, and some girl talked to me afterwards, was like, you're so funny, and that was it. I was like, wow, this is everything.
They
How
gave
did
you the
that-
confidence.
I get to talk smack, say whatever I want. I always was obsessed with the fact that I was lucky enough to be born in a country that had free speech.
Do we still have that nowadays?
More or less. Not on Twitter, not in public,
Not
but
on Twitter.
in comedy shows. Like, I'm at Caroline's this weekend. That's a temple of free speech. You can
Yeah.
still say whatever you want. Thank goodness.
Now, did the lady give you some pussy that told you that you was funny?
No, but it gave me just enough to think about that night.
And you know what's so accurate? You said you would have been an engineer here. Our engineer is actually named Jeff.
See that? Yeah, I went to film school. I was in college radio and worked in public radio and never even knew I was funny. My whole family was funny, but I didn't know it until I left. Went up to Boston to college, and nobody was funny. And I was like, oh, okay. That's kind of what it is. And if you're from New Jersey, I'm from Newark, New Jersey. If you're from New Jersey, I feel like you have you grow up with an outsider's perspective. It's kind of the way Canadians are to America. Like in New Jersey, all our ball teams, all our concerts were always in New York. All our news came from New York. So it gave me just enough of a outsider's perspective
The Jets
looking
and the
in.
Giants are in Jersey.
Now they are,
Right.
but not when I was a kid.
Now, let me ask you this. What's harder, open mic night or because I'm sure that that's difficult because the audience is probably, some people are really, really bad, I'm sure, and then some people are, like you said you did good on your first time going up in front of an audience on open mic night. How hard is it when you have to go on and people are bombing and then the crowd is getting restless?
It's the hardest, and you have to have a plan B. You got to work through it. You know, I remember just always going, well, if they don't see you bombing, if you don't say you're bombing, then you're not bombing.
Bullshit. Trust me, we're sitting at the table whispering like, this guy sucks.
Yeah, you know, it's just one of those things. I don't know. Maybe it's having thick skin. Maybe it's, you know, all the crap I went through as a kid. It just bounces off me, and I try to keep going.
Was it nerve-wracking opening up for Chris Rock?
Oh, my God. I just did this whole world tour with Chris.
Total blackout tour.
Yeah.
And,
we all went to it.
You know, I got to tell you, it wasn't nerve-wracking.
Really?
It was inspiring. And those arena shows, I know you guys were at the Garden. We just did the O2 in London last
10,000
week.
people, right?
That one was 16,000 twice.
Damn.
We did the Wembley the night before, all over Europe, Tel Aviv, Scandinavia. And after a while, you start to make these arenas in the comedy clubs, and they get more and more intimate. And then when I do my roast, they have it up on the Jumbotron, so the camera's right up in people's faces. So in a weird way, I'm going to miss those arena shows. I'm back in a club this week, and I'm like, I'm going to miss those big arena shows.
Can you make those big arena shows intimate, though? I always wonder about that.
Oh, yeah, man, because you start to get used to it, and, you know, you get your delivery down right. And they start to come to you. It's crazy when we're up there, and especially for Chris Rock, like he'll do a joke about relationships, you know, and if it's a 5-minute bit, the first minute you see the woman's fist kind of clench, like where's he going with this? Start talking about divorce or cheating. Then the second minute you see the guys kind of tighten up. Then by the third minute everybody's laughing together. So he's got it down, and it becomes very intimate. It's almost like just for that crowd. You feel like it's a one-time experience.
What was the call like when Chris called you to open up for him and to host the
But
show?
you've been knowing Chris for years, though. Hey.
Years ago, I'd known
You still
Chris.
got to get a call for doing his tour.
That's a good question. You know what? Here's what happens is my agent Stacy, who's an old friend of Chris's, not even his agent, but they're just old friends. She calls me up and she goes, "Chris is going on a world tour. Here he's doing 150 dates. He said send Jeff the calendar and let him pick what cities he wants to do."
Wow.
I only picked New Orleans and Atlanta because I never go there, and I knew the crowds would be hype. And I did New Orleans and Atlanta, and I said, "Let me see that schedule again." And it took the pressure off me of headlining and doing my own show. I only had to do a little sort of opening surprise set. He didn't want me to promote it. He didn't want me to do press. He wanted me to come out as a surprise. He likes to, and I bring people up and roast them on stage, and it's like mayhem. There's no other comedian that would want to follow that except Chris Rock.
I feel like we should get roasted.
Did you make a lot of money?
I could
though?
roast you in that Nike outfit right now.
No, don't do it.
All right.
Did you make a lot of money? Because we all
Actually, I don't
know
mind.
that white male comedians are underpaid.
You know what? Hello, my loves. I want you to join with me in boycotting the Chris Rock tour because he only paid me half of what the black comedians got. Yeah, you know, Sydney and I had a long talk about this. And he was crying, and I said, "Sydney, we gotta fix it." No, you know what? Chris took very good care of me. We flew around private jets, paid me well, treated me well. And we're good pals. And it was his birthday yesterday, so shout out to Chris Rock.
That's my distant cousin, man.
Is that true?
Yeah, through South Carolina.
Is that
From
right?
Alvin, Monk's Corner, weird connection. Yeah.
Wow.
Great guy, though.
So you're another person he's supporting.
I hope so one day. Hopefully one day.
I really admire that guy, man. He has the best acting comedy right now. And I'm friends with all the comedians, but Chris Rock's hour-and-a-half live show right now is like seeing AC/DC.
I agree.
It's like a band.
I agree.
He starts at number 8 and finishes at number 10, an hour and a half. Just boom, boom,
Just
boom.
the fact you're saying an hour and a half is unbelievable. And it's hour and a half of just like no lull in the show at all.
It goes fast, too.
Yeah. You know, I work in second gear, low key sometimes. He's up there in fifth gear, killing.
Now,
Killing.
are there other comedians that might try to steal what it is that you do? Like, okay, I'm sure you've seen some like copycatters because they've seen the success that you've had.
Yeah.
And people might be like, all right, come on, I'm going to bring some people up here. Or
That's the beauty of the speed roast. You know, like when I do my live shows, like at the end of my shows this weekend, I'll say, the lights will come on. You see me do this. And I'll say, who wants to get roasted? And people start volunteering. And if you point to somebody, that's bullying. I won't take that person. But if you yourself volunteer, they come on stage, I line them up. And I think comedians have tried to steal this bit, but it's dangerous.
Right.
Like now you got like drunk live human beings
That
on
just
stage.
happened. Did you
right.
see that when the guy jumped up from the
Yeah.
audience
Trying to
fight Steve
onto the
Brown.
stage?
Yeah. So in a way, it's almost like a magic trick that only I can do. So, I'm not too worried about it. Plus, I know a little karate. My mom, when I was 6, dragged me to Taekwondo. So if anything. Taekwondo. Yeah, I'm from New Jersey. We have, I talk like an idiot.
It's spelled Tay, though.
And I don't know. It's just like at a certain point, where you going with my jokes, it's just not going to work.
So no one ever got mad on stage that volunteered?
Every
That was
now and then
drunk?
I'll bounce somebody, but no one gets mad.
Okay.
People have thick skin, and that's the best way to get through life.
You mentioned it. Do you think Monique got lowballed by Netflix?
Oh yeah, I think she's worth at least $20 million for a special.
Get the fuck out of here.
Come on! You know what? I don't even understand what happened to Monique. She used to be a good sport about that stuff. When I first met Monique, I love Monique. She's great. We were roasting. Shaq invited me to a roast of Emmitt Smith.
Oh, my gosh.
This
That's
is-
the famous one where Jamie Foxx
Yeah.
actually killed somebody's career.
Yeah. Definitely. What was that brother's name? I can't even remember.
Doug
now.
Williams.
Doug Williams.
Hey,
Oh, my
man.
God.
Shout out
That
to
was an
Doug.
Yeah.
Infamous
Rest in
roast.
peace, Doug Williams.
Damn it, man.
Well,
That's
you
Roast
know,
in peace. And Doug was there, but Jamie Foxx was hosting. Emmitt Smith was getting roasted. Shaq and Emmitt Smith had just won another Super Bowl, and his family was there. And it was a great crowd in Vegas, and everybody was kind of lit up and laughing and having a good time. And I said, we could all make fun, Emmett. We could all make fun, all us up here, make fun of you. But the truth is, man, growing up, every one of us dreamed when we were kids of one day growing up and being a Dallas Cowboy. And the only one who even came close was Monique. And that's when Monique started laughing, and I went over and I kissed her and everything, and she was a good sport about it.
I remember even during when everything was happening with Jamie Foxx on there, she was being very supportive of, what's his name again?
Doug.
Doug, yeah. She was being very supportive, like, all right, now that's right, and trying to help him out, but it just
Didn't work
went
out.
left.
Yeah, well, those roasts, it's like the Super Bowl of comedy. I mean, it's a death match sometimes.
Right.
And
And, you,
that's-
like you said, have to be able to take the jokes as well.
I get hit as hard as anybody. I look like Vin Diesel if he drowned. You think I don't get made fun of? I wasn't always this pretty.
Do you think in comedy popularity is more important than credibility? Because Monique keeps comparing her resume to somebody like Amy Schumer, but come on, man, Amy was red hot in 2016.
Well, I mean, comedy it's a constant battle to be great. You got to. Amy Schumer's on stage every night. Even when she's shooting a movie, she shows up at the Comedy Cellar at 11, 12 o'clock at night. I mean, it's like hitting the gym every day. And if you're not hitting the gym every day, you got to pipe down. To me, you have no case.
Yeah.
And she's also selling out arenas.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't really understand, gender bias when in fact she's naming another woman who's doing well and 2 black men who are doing well. I didn't understand the argument.
I didn't get that either. That's the first thing I said. I was like, well, how do you claim race and gender bias, but then name 2 black men and a white woman? She should have kept it specific and said black women
Right.
bias. That would have made more sense.
And still, I don't know, sounds like a lot of money she was getting paid for essentially an ad for all your touring and stuff like that. But, I'm not going to count anybody's money, especially Monique's.
But you know how
she
much
is the most decorated comedian alive.
is that true? No, I don't know if that's true.
I don't know why she describes herself like a Christmas tree. I don't even understand. I don't even understand what that was about, man. She's posed in front of all her awards. They're all for one movie. It's a great movie. By the way,
And
I
it wasn't
saw
a
her
comedy.
last special. She was funnier and Precious.
Precious was an African American horror movie, so okay.
Jeez.
She I don't even remember what I was saying. But did Donald Trump really ask you if Sarah Silverman's tits were real?
Oh, man.
Is that true? Because I saw Sarah Silverman tweet that before, and I was like, "Is this real?"
It took me years to tell Sarah that story, and I finally told her. And then, of course, she told everybody. I would never normally tell this story, but this is about probably a while back. I did a roast for Donald Trump, a charity roast for the Friars Club in New York, and He loved me, man. He loved me. And he called me up and he offered me a lot of money to go on his plane down to Mar-a-Lago, his country club down in Florida. And we're on the plane and he's like, let's talk comedy. I'm like, yeah, sure, man. What do you want to know? He's like, Sarah Silverman, are those tits real? I was like, wait, that's not comedy talk. That's like my sister. And I never answered him, but yeah, they're
He didn't
real.
pressure you after that? Like,
No, he was, you know, I think he was either teasing me or, you know, whatever, but it was a fun trip, actually.
so Donald Trump buys friends, basically. He paid you just to come down to hang with him?
No, I performed. I did a
Oh.
show down for his country club down
to
there.
work.
Yeah, no, I did a gig for the rich folks down at Mar-a-Lago. And by the way, he treated me really well. Walked me over to the front desk, gave me the keys to the Cadillac for the weekend.
Really?
Let me bring a buddy who opened for me. We had a good time.
Donald Trump has a Cadillac?
Trump used to be a lot of fun.
So you voted for him?
No.
Now,
Did he show any racist, well, of course he showed misogynistic tendencies because he asked you about Sarah titties, but
You know what else is funny about those clubs? I was just down at one of those golf clubs in Florida not too long ago. They're all run by women. The one in Florida, the golf club, is run by an African American woman. The other one is run by a woman. So he does sort of, you know, love and support and hire
Are
women.
you trying to humanize Donald
Whoa.
Trump?
No,
Jeff Ross.
but I think if you're going to get him on the points that you can get him on. And the misogynistic thing, yeah, he talks like a jerk about everybody. I've roasted him twice. I've known him for 15 years. I feel like any second he's going to call me up and offer me a job.
you
Do
gonna
y'all
take
still
it?
talk now?
No, I haven't talked to him in about a year.
You gonna take it if he calls you up now?
I want to be the secretary of offense. I want to write all his tweets.
So hold on, you talked to him when he was running?
I talked to him after he won.
Oh, after he won?
Yeah.
He called you or you called him?
I was down at the golf club in Florida, whatever it's called, I forget the name. Trump International.
Okay.
I was having lunch, and he had just won the election, but he wasn't president yet. And I came back from Iraq. I was doing a show for the troops on Christmas last year, and there he is. Oh my gosh, he's gonna be president.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa.
Guy I sniffed coke with on the plane.
And he calls me over, say hi, and I congratulated him. And at this point, you're like, you know, what do you even say? And he is going to be the president. And
Correct.
I did just come back from Iraq. So I had all these stories about the troops and all the different things that I saw all through the Middle East. And I was like, hey, man, I just met, you know, your new chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Dunford, and I met the Marines in this city, and I met the Army in this city, and I went to all these forward operating bases and Al-Assad and out near the Syrian border and all these, you know, the Kurdistan, you know, and I wanted to just tell him how good morale was and how much confidence I had in the chairman, you know, and he goes, yeah. How is it? How do you think Arnold's going to do as a host of Celebrity Apprentice?
What?
He would not talk
He doesn't
about the
talk
military.
politics.
He wanted to jump right to how Arnold was going to bomb on Celebrity Apprentice.
Yikes.
It was an interesting conversation.
Now,
And
if he
then,
calls you now, would you take a gig?
I mean, I don't know if I would take a money gig, but if he asked me to do something for the troops, he is the commander in chief. We are a free country, and I would do it for the troops.
Definitely.
I can see that.
Now,
could-
have you ever dated Quincy Jones?
I dated Quincy Jones in 1973. We were at the play. No, man. Here's the thing.
I seen you put that on Twitter yesterday. I've
Here's
never
a-
You
dated
tweeted
Quincy
you never
Jones.
dated him.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, guys. This happened to Jerry Lewis a few years ago. Journalists, if you're out there, stop publishing interviews from senile people. Quincy Jones, I love Quincy Jones.
Why do you think he's senile? I thought he spoke with perfect sense in that interview.
You start, come on.
Yes.
Talking about Richard Pryor like
But
that?
they said his widow said it's true.
Yeah, his widow came out and said it actually
She said
happened.
he's gonna release
Why
some
is
of
it
his
important?
diaries.
Why let the man rest?
Well, he was actually talking about Marlon Brando, and he said Marlon Brando fucked any and everything. He said Marlon Brando fucked the mailbox. Marlon Brando fucked James Baldwin, Richard Pryor, and Marvin Gaye.
How do you think those guys would feel about that right now?
Well, if Richard Pryor has it in his diaries and he's
Richard talked
addressed
about
it
Richard talked
openly.
about being in a relationship for a couple weeks with a
Trans woman.
I don't know.
Could you imagine Richard Pryor and Marlon Brando snuggling after sex?
Yes,
We don't know that they snuggled.
they was on coke, Jeff, and Quaaludes.
Is that what happens?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
I agree with you. I think it's, I don't want to say disrespectful, but if it's somebody's truth, if that's what Quincy remembers, like, Why not?
I guess so. I guess the part about talking about dating Ivanka Trump was a little much too.
No.
No?
Nah.
He didn't really say much. He didn't say anything.
I would
After.
hope
He
when
said he went out with
smashed.
her.
He just said we went on a date and
Yeah,
had
could've been
relations
just
sexy
one
or
day.
something.
I would hope when I'm 70-something, I can still date a 25-year-old.
You will.
I hope.
I do.
I pray so. why do you think all these industry secrets are starting to come out now, though?
I think people are feeling really open to talk.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. There's so many podcasts, so much radio, so much TV, so much tabloids. Everybody's got Twitter. Everybody got Instagram. You got to fill it up.
Right.
Yeah.
People want to
You
go
gotta fill
viral
it
with
up.
content.
It used to be you had to get on like the evening news or that was it. Then there was like public radio and then
Yeah.
now there's everything.
And when you was an older celebrity like Quincy, there really was no platform for you, I guess, back then.
Right.
Now people want to sit down and talk to you.
So you think he's still got his mind?
Yes, the interview was
He didn't
incredible.
say anything that wasn't
If
true.
If you read,
so everything that he
That we
says,
know, right.
They
You
have
don't
it
know.
actually-
You don't know if
No,
it
No,
was-
but they
we don't know if
actually
it's
have a
true.
lot of stuff broken down with footnotes. So when he'll address like certain things, like talking about the Beatles, and they'll be like, he was in the studio with the Beatles and worked on this. When he talks about Michael Jackson, clearly, there's certain things
his
that
thoughts
they
on
put
music were
footnotes.
great. His thoughts on racism
Mm-hmm.
were great. His thoughts on economics and financial status between rich and poor and how rich need to do more was great. Like, it was a really good
Okay.
interview.
All right, then I'm going to read it more carefully. I only read the salacious highlights.
Yeah, exactly. People
Just the headlines.
people got caught up in
I
what
was
Marlon
literally,
Brando Dick was doing.
I was messing around at the Comedy Cellar last night, warming up for Caroline's, and I'm walking home, and I tend to read the headlines, and I was like, okay, well,
Whoa.
I got to take an Ambien because I got to get up early, and as I'm taking an Ambien, I start tweeting, which is always a bad idea. Then I wake up and go, oh, now I'm talking smack about Quincy Jones right before I go to sleep.
So you need an Ambien to sleep?
Only
You're
when I
not
have to go to
exhausted?
sleep early.
Okay, to force yourself to.
I don't really get tired.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I just fly all over. I don't really get too tired. But when I have to get up early, I force myself to go to sleep because now I feel great. I slept.
Okay.
How do you feel about comedians commenting on other comedians' comedy? Like, Faison Love recently has been saying that Dave Chappelle isn't funny. And
Yeah, that really bothered me. And I love Faison, and we've had many dinners together. But he's not afraid to speak his mind, and I respect that. And he's also talking about Dave, who's like my little brother since he's a teenager. I mean, Dave and I go way, 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 way back. We spent 9/11 together, Dave and I. We spent many, many times on the road together. So Dave's hilarious. Even if he wasn't, I would hate it.
it was weird because I didn't even know how to respond to that because I've never heard that.
I saw your reaction, and it was like 2 + 2 is 6. You're like, what?
I'm like, Dave's funny. Like,
Yeah,
always has been. Like,
I don't understand where he's coming from, and I don't even really like, Chris Rock and our producer from Live Nation, Jeff Wills, were backstage, and they were saying like so and so wasn't funny, like a really popular comedian wasn't funny, and they'll get mad at me when I won't play along because they know I know this person's not funny, but I'm always diplomatic. I can't help it. I say such mean things when I have the microphone in my hand. But when I'm not, I tend to back off, and I think it gives me the goodwill to talk smack when I do get the opportunity. And I have a hard time with being a comedian. For me, is a brotherhood. It's a religion.
Right.
I'm a comedian before I'm American, before I'm Jewish, before I'm a New Yorker. Like, I'm a comedian. If a comedian needs help, even when they did something wrong, I sympathize with a comedian. Comedy comes from pain. Stand-up comes from pain. If we don't laugh, we cry as a people. And that's our job, is to bring that out, to find the silver lining, to find the light. And I have a hard time being critical of other comedians. To me, it's like my religion.
and one thing I'm realizing, I guess, as I get older, I guess funny isn't universal.
Right.
I thought it was, but I guess it's not.
It's definitely not, because there's people that other people might think are funny that I don't really find funny. I know growing up, I've always thought Seinfeld was so funny, but I have a lot of friends who never thought Seinfeld was their type of sense of humor. I think there's different types of senses of humor, too. Like, I like dry humor, and some people don't.
Well, think about, we all have an uncle we think's hilarious, and then, your friends come over and they're like, this guy's creepy.
He's offensive.
I mean, same thing with Paul Mooney. Some people find Paul Mooney funny, some people don't.
Right.
I've been at Caroline's where people have gotten up and walked out of Paul Mooney's show
Right.
because they were offended.
Right. To me, I like my comedy potent. I don't like it watered down at all. And I also have respect for somebody who's paid their dues, who's worked hard. Even if I don't think they're funny, they're selling out arenas.
Yeah.
I got to give them props. You know, so you know, it's so subjective. And
It is.
and Paul Mooney, he's a good guy, man.
So Louis C.K., watching everything that's happened to him and things getting taken away from him because of these allegations, which some things he's admitted to. What do you think? Is that a fair punishment? And is that something that he could ever joke about? And can he come back from this?
Well, I mean, we're obsessed with punishment, right? My last special, one of my last specials was in a jail.
Oh, you roasted the inmates.
So to me,
That must have been scary.
everybody, even murderers, need a second chance. And I go, murderers become mentors, alcoholics become sponsors. Why wouldn't Louis, at some point, he's a smart guy, if he can rejigger his head a little bit, why wouldn't he become an advocate for women's issues? Not that women need him, but why would, he's got daughters, he's got a big future, he's got tons of talent. I think he could be an asset to learn, if he wants to. I haven't talked to him, but I feel like he could become a better citizen after all this.
Right.
He's too young to be condemned, I think. But we're so obsessed with punishment
We are.
that people love to see the big man get taken down a notch. That's why the roasts are so popular.
Well, you know, a lot of women
That's
are
a
hurt by it, though. That's the thing, too. A lot of women are hurt. You
Yeah,
know,
but we
it's-
talk about redemption. We talk about forgiveness. At what point do we get to that place with them? You know?
I think it's more on Louis, to be honest with you. I think when he feels like he's done it, because he's a smart guy. I don't think he's a greedy guy. Like you know, I saw him the other day, bumped into him for a few minutes. You know, I don't think he's ready to come back quite yet.
Did you
know?
shake his hand?
Of course.
Knowing he's a serial masturbator?
Because
Gotta
we,
give him a
we
pound.
fist bumped. We
Okay.
fist bumped. You know what? For me, it's like what I said. It's a brotherhood. You know, if my cousin did something wrong, my grandfather used to say racist stuff against Asian people. We didn't kick him out of the family. We tried to teach him. We tried to show him. You know, I had a Chinese girlfriend when I was right out of college, and you know, we went to high school together. I really liked her. We would have fun. I had nothing else in life going on, and she was cool. And I brought her over, and my grandfather didn't say a word. He just waited until she went in the other room, and he said, "East is east, and west is west, and never the two shall meet."
Oh my gosh.
What are you talking about? I'm just trying to get some action, Bob. Come on.
This is crazy.
What do you think about internet comedians? These internet comedians that do these little Instagram videos, and now all of a sudden they're
He's scared.
comedians.
You scared him with that Asian joke just now. He changed the subject so fast.
Come
you-
on.
you scared him.
Asians can take a joke just like the rest of us.
What do you think about Instagram Instagram comedians and some of the fame that they get from doing what you guys have been doing and
You don't even have a
doing
question.
for a
You're
long
just trying
time?
to change the subject.
I'm
I mean,
ju-
these Instagram comedians come up pretty fast.
You know what? I don't. It's interesting because the way, as an open micer, as a beginner, you talk about Rock and Chappelle and maybe, you know, even myself. It's like we came up through open mics and amateur nights and one nighters and hell gigs and club owners, and we got heckled and we got jerked around and we got stiffed and all that. These internet comedians, in a weird way, they have to go through the same thing, but it's all in the comments section.
Right.
True.
You know, because comments are almost meaner than a heckler. The haters are even stronger because they're almost anonymous.
You can't see their face
Right.
sometimes. You have no idea who they are.
But it's also like that in the comedy club. If it's I'm up there by myself, I don't know who just yelled, "Fuck off."
But it could
You
be
know?
a 12-year-old saying something crazy in the
Yeah.
comments, or
So I respect the fact that they people work as hard on those videos as we did in our open mics. But there is a shortcut. You know, I have to do years and years and years of road work to get to where I'm at, to be respected. Sometimes they have the right viral thing, and comedy, I think, is a little bit watered down right now. There's almost too many comedians.
Everybody's censoring themselves, man. Too that too. I think the most uncensored shit is on the internet, but it's just not funny on stage.
Yeah, I mean, to make random people laugh on any given Friday night at 10 o'clock, that's the hardest thing, I think, in the world.
Did you you say you never felt like you went too far? Do you feel like you went too far when you made the Paul Walker jokes a
Man.
couple years ago?
You have a good memory,
I
Charlamagne.
do remember that.
You know what? That was a tricky one, man, because I don't think I don't think Luda will ever forgive me.
Luda or Tyrese,
Yeah.
boy, they were
They were
mad
very
at you.
angry.
Luda stepped to you, right?
Nah, I even just saw him at a wedding and he wouldn't talk to me. And I love him too, so it hurts.
Yeah.
But these roasts are this is the medicine. This, like I said, comedy comes from pain. And if I don't try to make a joke and get the fans laughing about it, then we carry that all the time.
Maybe it was the tragic way Paul died. Though.
Of course.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just me. There were 2 other comedians who made the similar jokes at the same roast. And it was pretty recent. And Paul Walker was cool. I thought he was cool.
For
I
whatever
would
reason,
never.
yours stung. Yours stung.
Well, my
to it.
jokes are better than everybody else. I have that going for me.
In retrospect, are you like, man, I shouldn't have did that, or you would do it again?
In retrospect, oh boy, this is the question, Ange. This is the question. I never apologized, but I did reach out to Luda afterwards and send him a present and say I didn't want to hurt your feelings. I didn't mean.
What
to
did
hurt
you send him?
anybody's feelings. I sent him some champagne, and it's a celebration of life.
Mm-hmm. Did he reply to you? Respond?
He
at all?
did not.
He hates champagne.
Well,
No, I'm just kidding.
It was a gesture.
Did Tyrese say anything to you?
I never met Tyrese. I've never met him. I didn't even know he was mad until just now. Shout out to Tyrese.
Oh, I didn't know he was mad. Oh yeah, he was mad.
He was mad, yeah, absolutely.
Do you think?
But these were jokes, and if you can't take a joke, life gets very, very long. And
but it's the people that are.
I never want to hurt anybody's feelings. That's not my style. Here's the thing about the roasts, and you guys will appreciate this, because it's just like having a guest on your show, right? You want everyone to leave going, hey, that was fun. I want to do that again.
Right.
Yeah.
Like when I make fun of somebody or do a roast, I want everyone to go, oh my God. The real goal for me is when they go home and tell their family what Jeff Ross said about them. You wouldn't, oh my God, it was so fun. Jeff Ross said this and this and this. It's like a badge of honor. It's like a feather in your cap. You got roasted.
You're right, but nobody could go home and tell Paul what you just said. It's better when the person's breathing.
I guess that's helpful.
Yeah.
Paul Walker, roast in peace. No
But-
hard feelings.
Certain people are really great at taking jokes. Like Shaq, I think, is always great at that. And Justin Bieber seemed like he's pretty good at taking jokes.
Bieber, when we roasted Bieber, that was his idea. So I couldn't believe it because I knew he was a fan of the roast, and I bumped into him one time and he said something. But when we got the call saying Bieber wanted to get roasted, that was like
You were like, I'm there.
That could be a 3-part miniseries.
That was a goddamn exorcism. They put Bieber up there, and they did that to get the nigger out of him. Because he was running with all the rappers and stuff then.
Right.
And remember at the end, he gave that whole speech about how he's a changed man and this and that, and that's exactly what happened. He shot back to the top of the charts after that.
Snoop was so mad after that. We were just, it is. I don't think I ever told this story, and I don't think he'd be mad. But after that, Biebs made that speech, kind of like the apology, and Biebs was cute about it. Like he called me over to his trailer the day before at rehearsal, and he had it all written out, handwritten, and he had some on his phone. And he's like, I want to say this at the end. What do you think? And I said, I think it's a good idea. Let's make this like a second chance. Let's make this a reboot, and put the past behind you. You're so young, and people will forgive you. And it was a really thoughtful, heartfelt, personal speech. But then, of course, he killed it with his comedy. Then he made the speech, and we're back in our trailers, and Snoop's like, come have a smoke, whatever. I go back there with my friends, and Snoop's like, I didn't know I was going to be part of some pussy shit at the end. He's like, I like my roast meat. I didn't want to be all apologetic. He was so mad.
That was one big PR stunt, man.
Yeah,
Let everybody clown Justin one last time, clean him up, get all that nigga shit out of him, that hood shit, that street shit, and boom, now he's America's sweetheart again.
I
That's
love
exactly
Justin.
what they did.
I said something like, Justin, I said, did Selena Gomez break up with you because she's dating men now or something like that? And
Wow.
And were you mad? Did you break up with her because she had a thicker mustache than you?
Jesus Christ.
The jokes were harsh, man. But he took it really well. I got to give him props. For a young guy, when I was his age, I was stealing car antennas off cars and messing around and moving Christmas ornaments from one lawn to another and nonsense. So, like, the fact that he's got this career and all that, I got to give him respect for that.
Do you think comedians should be allowed to speak freely about any and everything?
I do. I think that even when we're wrong, even when we go a little too far, and like I said, I apologize for hurting anybody's feelings, especially, Luda and those guys, but I do think it's really important. I do Charlemagne, because it's the last place. It's the last spot left for free speech. Like, I woke up as a kid. Even as a kid, I used to draw, like, Nazi swastikas on my books, even in Hebrew school, even as a Jewish kid. I'm not a religious person now, but even then I was like, I could do that without any repercussions. I'd cross them out right away. But I was like,
what the
That's a
fuck
weird
did
thing
you
to
just
do.
say?
I would make. I know, but the fact that we grew up in a country, because I'd read about Russia and China where people would get their tongues cut out for talking bad on the king or the government, and I go, how lucky am I that I get to live in a country where you can say whatever you want. Forget do whatever you want. That's a little tricky, but you know, I grew up worshiping like punk rock and Public Enemy
Hitler.
and.
Jesus Christ.
Not even. I'm just saying the fact that we get to say whatever we want. We take that for granted in this country, and I think comedians are, you know, as we hear more and more about fake news is going to evolve into fake history, and there's going to be different versions of history. And, you know, we all could see that coming. But comedy is always the truth, always, or it wouldn't be funny.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I respect your honesty, but there's a difference between free speech and comedy and writing Nazi swastikas on your notebook.
My point was, it was allowed. When
Like you
Why
weren't
would
gonna
you
do
want
it.
to?
No, just because you can. I just like the fact that you can exercise your freedom of speech. I went to Cuba in Y2K. Snuck in through Mexico. You know, buddy wanted to see Havana, and we went to Cuba. And anytime anybody ever mentioned, if I said something about Fidel or they wanted to talk about the government, they wouldn't say his name out. We're in the frickin' jungle. And they wouldn't say his name. They would just go like this. They'd rub their face like a beard. So they were so scared. I went to Russia in college during the end of the Cold War. And, you know, my parents were passed away. I had nothing to do. I was sort of unleashed. I was like, let me just go get out of New York, America for a couple of weeks over Christmas. Let me go see what communism looks like. And people were just terrified of the government. I thought, what an awful way to live. I understand we have problems with policing and there's certain issues, but we could still walk into a police station if we have to. We can still get our checks from the government if we have to. There's still a military that's going to protect us, not the people in charge. And I really do feel fortunate. And that's why I do the shows for the troops, because it is the little bit that I can do as an entertainer.
Well, let me tell you all the headlines. It's going to say Jeff Ross humanized Donald Trump. Jeff Ross says people
Draw
should be allowed to
swastikas.
draw Nazi swastikas on notebooks.
And Jeff Ross will be at Caroline's this weekend.
Yeah.
Thursday at 7:30, Friday 7:30, 10 o'clock, Saturday 7:30 at 10, and Sunday at 7:30. You can get your tickets at carolines.com.
Do you volunteer to get roasted?
Yeah, I would.
He's volunteering to get roasted.
Really?
But we all got to do it.
Okay, I volunteer to
I
get
would
roasted.
love
Is it
that.
speed
Yeah.
roast?
That'd be really fun.
All right,
do
we
it?
volunteer.
You got to wear that shirt, though.
No,
Oh,
hit
he
him
means
now.
at
You can't do it
Caroline's.
now.
What are you pointing at me? We all do it. We all got to get it done.
He looks like a stormtrooper from the future. That looks like a
compliment
pair
for
of
him.
pants made into a shirt.
Now look at Charlemagne.
Charlemagne, what are you wearing?
My podcast, Brilliant Idiots.
He looks good. I'm not gonna mess with him.
Jesus Christ, Jeff.
Oh, come on.
Now,
A
what
lot
about
of guys
Angela?
don't. A lot of guys don't have the guts to wear their sweatshirt from 5th grade to the.
What about Yee?
He was
Yeah.
ready for me
Oh, this is a
already.
good one.
Yeah, she looked good. Lay off the bagels, babe.
Holy shit.
She looks really good. She's dressed like a child and a child molester in the same outfit. That's like
not
if
ready.
Nike made prison clothes. She looks good. She looks beautiful.
Thank you. I'm going to finish my baby.
Jeff Ross,
You
ladies
see a
and
little
gentlemen.
sugar with the spice? You see how it
We
works?
got you. We got you. Jeff
Oh,
Ross,
man.
ladies and gentlemen, it's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.